Aloha, my name is Ralph Lampman, and today I'll be talking about unique collaboration partnership on lamprey research to advance species management and restoration. And here's my subtitle. I want to start off with this great picture from the 2019 Sea Lamprey International Symposium 3. This should be a Guinness record for the world's largest gathering of international lamprey biologists and nerds. I brought along with me a rubber lamprey from Elmer Crow and latched it on to my colleague here, Hiroaki Arakawa from Japan. And I appreciate Great Lake Fisheries Commission's sense of humor for saying that he is a novel lamprey host species. Now, this is probably one of the world's worst PowerPoint slide with lots of words and acronyms, but just trying to show that, there's a lot of projects that we're working on collaboratively, and this is collaboration is really what makes it happen. I'm also hoping that with the worst slide at the beginning, maybe everything else will look better. Shown here are the 4 key lamprey knowledge gaps that we'll be talking about today. Now let's get started. For early life history, we had an international forum on the recovery and propagation of lamprey in 2011 in Portland, Oregon. We had visitors from Japan and Finland share a lot of their knowledge about artificial propagation techniques. Bob Rose was the idea man behind this, and we had a rich exchange of techniques and information during the day. And at night, we had a cultural exchange with the Japanese folks teaching Finland folks how to pour sake. I was fortunate to be hired as an interpreter for this event. They even hired my wife. They were so desperate. And thanks to that knowledge sharing, we were able to put together a lamprey master plan a few years later. The key players were Aaron Jackson, Mary Moser, Alexa Main from the Umatilla tribe and Noah Fisheries. We also had help from Ann Gannam and James Barron from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And then a few years later, Great Lake Fishery Commission put together a sea lamprey aquaculture and procurement program, or SLAP. And John Hume is the mastermind behind this, and he happened to be right next to me in that SLIS group photo. I should have slapped him with my rubber lamprey, but didn't think of it at the time. We had visitors like Nick Johnson and Tricia Cersei, who came over to learn about the techniques that we use for artificial propagation. And this exchange was reciprocated by my visit to the Great Lakes Fishery Commission facilities. I visited the Hammond Bay Biological Station. Nick Johnson was kind enough to let me stay at his shack on his farm, introduced me to his pond where he has secret operations to rear lamprey. Half joking here, but he introduced me to his office where he pumps out lamprey manuscripts left and right. Really impressed with the facilities that they had at their biological station. We incorporated things like lock line. It's really a great way to have flexible inlets. Also saw dissections of really small larvae and the physiology samples that were taken. Lots of history about the Great Lakes could be learned there at the station. So really happy to see those. And last but not least, the lamprey toys were something that were given to me, so I brought them back home to share. During this visit, we also had an in-person meeting to discuss the SLAP program. I was able to see in action, a lot of the collaboration and creative work that was happening with all the different experts in the room. I was also impressed with this artwork in the Great Lakes Fishery Commission building. It turns out this guy has a name, Youper, or Super Youper. There's a Facebook page that I liked the other day. I was inspired by this superhero, and I tried to put the lamprey on my arm, and it did bleed a little bit, but I went on to put it on my head, and I figured that would help complete my trip. And I also had an opportunity to visit many of the lamprey traps that are set up in the Great Lakes area, and these are some of the examples. LED light guidance for screw traps or juvenile traps with electrical barrier. ABP2 electrofisher is a tool that's been used for a long time and has really helped us here on the Pacific Northwest. We have put together a paper describing these methods, including the perspective from Fraser Neve from Great Lakes Fish Commission in Canada. ELAT, the Eel Lamprey acoustic tag, was developed by Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, and it's been used for true eels and lamprey, both in the Columbia River Basin and the Great Lakes. Here are some netting and capture methods for lamprey from Finland. You see the traditional adult nets that they have and juvenile nets that they use to monitor propagated larvae that they release. They also have a unique sifting method that they use for larval monitoring. Right now, the tribes are working with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory to develop a lamprey-specific trap, a juvenile trap that is modular in design. And we're hoping to make it work in areas like bypass flumes, separator at juvenile bypass system. This is a snapshot of what the experiment looked like to test the impacts to hominids. Down the road, we hope to modify this so it could be used in the river environment with pontoons on the side, kind of like a screw trap. We really hope to learn from the trap designs that have been used in the Great Lakes and Finland and other locations, and hoping to make something that's useful for other regions as well. Now, another example of creative collaboration is this trap that we modified from Sweden. It was originally developed for migrating juvenile eels, European eels, and we thought, that this trap could be modified and used for adult lamprey. So I contacted the authors of the paper, and they said that Whoosh Innovations from Seattle, Washington currently holds the patent. So that's when the Griffith tribes provided input for lamprey modification. We got the funding, and now it's sitting in one of the large tanks at Bonneville Hatchery. We called it the Floating Adult Lamprey Collector, Operation Nocturnal, so we can have a cool acronym like Falcon, just like the SLAP. Now here's how it works. So lamprey comes into the trap. They climb up the ramp into the trough, and through the 4-inch flexible tubes they get to the destination. We decided to block off all 4 sides because we were seeing that a lot of lamprey were just escaping from the structure. We added a plywood to block off the bottom as well. Added a fire hose attractant flow, and last but not least, we pushed the structure all the way to the end so that the entrance is as close to that tank edge as possible. And why we're experimenting with this structure, initially we weren't collecting very many, so we pushed the side to the tank edge. We added a spray bar to see if lamprey would congregate. Initially they didn't congregate, but After we left, there were lots of lamprey kind of swarming around there. But what was really interesting was after we moved this trap away from that location, even, after about 2 weeks have passed, lamprey just kept coming back to that exact same spot, at night. So that, let's see. Now this made me think that, lamprey are leaving pheromone or scent on the tank edge, um, and that's, causing them to come back, again and again, even though the spray bar was no longer there. This is me and Aaron discussing the traps and what we can do to improve it. We spent many nights together there, and we sort of look like an angel with our headlamp as a halo. In the end, through the modifications we made incremental improvements to make this structure work the best we could. We hope to work again in the spring to make it even better. I want to thank Kyle Tidwell from Army Corps, who has an office that was nearby and was able to implement a lot of these ideas that Aaron and I had. So we'll give him a angel wing and a halo. But this is really, I think, a good example for synergy, working together. One idea leads to another and another, and eventually gets to a special place. I'm running out of time here, so I'll keep this short, but Hiroaki Arakawa, who was an intern from Japan and worked with us on the acclimatization, he worked on a laboratory study looking at larval lamprey predation by various species, and we learned that we could look at the predator gut to understand what lamprey species are eaten, but also kind of the parentage information. So that led us to studies on the ground in the Yakima River and Columbia Basin, and we're now looking at even things like what time of the day the lamprey was eaten, and what the primary predators are. Traditional ecological knowledge is really helpful in filling data gaps on lamprey abundance and distribution. For example, Army Corps was not counting adult lamprey for about a 30-year period. But with the information from the tribal members on harvest and when the declines happen, we can help really fill those gaps. And Hiroaki Arakawa, after he went back to Japan, he actually focused a lot on ecological knowledge. He interviewed a lot of the fisheries from all over Japan, and helped fill the data gap on historical distribution and current state of the Arctic lamprey. Another unique partnership that I want to share is the Lamprey Communication Committee. It was formed in 2021 between Great Lakes Fishery Commission and West Coast USA entities. The key players are listed there. It's a formal channel to collaborate, primarily related to outreach and management. Even though we have different goals and messaging, we try to focus on the mutual goals to help each other. We are working on a flyer called The Lampreys, Friends or Foes, a couple joint papers, and a full-size poster describing the lampreys of North America. There's a great sketch showing what that would look like. Now, switching gear, what is the lamprey action gap? What are we missing? Michael Buck, who is a graduate student from University of Washington, has talked about human dimensions and how they need to be considered for restoration and management. Without the restoration of human relationship, restoration is not complete. We can't just be looking at the fish numbers, but also how we bring back the ties to the human community. He is giving a couple talks at this AFS, so hope you check those out. He collaborated with a local artist, Marty Shibuya from Seattle, Washington, and put together this great drawing showing that ceremony and harvest is an important part of that life cycle. They're almost like a different life stage where that's when they transpire into something new. Historically, lamprey were harvested in many locations within the Yakima River. There used to be connection between youth and elders, men and women that harvested lamprey. There was also strong connection between lamprey and salmon, and all the predators that feed on salmon and lamprey. I think if we're trying to learn about synergy, I think nature is our greatest teacher of synergy. They make connections from almost nothing, and make the magic happen. So with nature being our greatest teacher, I think we should learn about tamanwit, which is a Sahaptin word for natural law, something that Patrick Luke has said many times, and it also means code of conduct, the way oral tradition of learning from your predecessors. It includes all those things together, and really emphasizes that we need to learn that from the natural law. Lastly, I want to thank all the staff on our Lamprey team. They're on the bottom there. Also want to thank my mentors who have taught me a lot about collaboration and working together, how to bring about synergy. And last but not least, I want to answer the question about whether we are foes or friends. We are definitely friends, united by this super lamprey. With that, I'll appreciate your attention. Thank you.